really, now, guys, we're gonna start with the talk. It's actually the main thing of the event. You know this guy. You know this guy. This guy is here for us, and he truly believes in us, in this community, in all of you. And we are super glad to have you here, because there is something personal for you. Like people are like you are very rare. We are super nice, lucky to have you as part of our community. So now, without any word, because we don't need the presentation, please give it up for Jose.
Hello, everyone. Super happy to be here. Who's happy to be here? Yeah! Good. Actually, there's something I want to do, and hope you don't mind. Everyone saying? Good. Okay, I will do this later. Okay, good. So, that said, the most important thing that I have to say today is thanks. Thanks to all of you for being so amazing. Thanks for allowing me to witness all that you have done and achieved in the last few months. I'm really happy to be a part of your journey somehow. And also thanks for being here, because I know that for many of you, it means like travel expenses and all that. Thanks for being part of this community. Now, I know that some of you have already found a job, but some others may be thinking about taking the next step and how to start that new chapter in your lives. Okay, so there's a lot of questions that you may be having. You have doubts, maybe you feel insecure. And there's something I want to tell you is I'm sure, 100% sure, that during the last few months, before starting the scholarships and during the time in the scholarships, you have had doubts. I'm sure that you have felt insecure about finishing on time and all these kind of things. But here you are, and you have graduated, most of you, I believe, right? And many others that are watching us live. This is 4 years. So the thing is that things for you can only move in one direction, and that direction is forward. Okay? Sometimes you need to step back to get impulse or to redirect things in the way you want them to be. But that step back is part of the process of moving forward. So don't be afraid, because you are doing the good things and you can do even bigger things. Okay? So now the first thing that you would probably want to do is to have a nice CV, right? Because CV is the key that opens that first door for the first interview. Okay? So I wanted to talk about how the process of building the CV is. Okay? So I got this from one of your fellow scholars, okay? And he brought me his CV. He asked me, come on, there's space there. Don't be shy, there's more spaces. It's fine. Okay. So, as I was saying, the CV is the first key to open the first door, okay? And this fellow scholar sent me his CV and asked me, okay, do you mind giving me some advice and opinion about my CV? And as you can see, I have mocked things, so it's like privacy and everything, right? Okay, GDPR. So he has started like, okay, you have like first the personal detail, contact details, and like intro part, okay? Now, let's say that I'm looking to hire, this guy is an Android guy, okay? He's in the Android track. So let's say I want to hire a junior Android developer for my team. Okay, now, why on earth will I hire someone, or will I ask someone to come for an interview if that someone defines himself as an e-commerce enthusiast? This does not make any sense. So this paragraph should play for you, not against you. And when I see this, you need to think the reader is going to feel like, you know what was this? It's weird. And probably you don't get the attention that you want. And I don't know if you have thought about this, but you can play with the reader, even if you don't know who the reader is. You can play with how the reader is going to feel when they read your CV. And in this case, this is particularly, okay? So here you want an introduction paragraph that is really strong, that is really representing who you are and what you bring in with you, okay? And for that is something that you need to individually find out. You have to come out with the right words. It's nothing that I can really tell you on how you have to write, but I can give you some tips. Like maybe you want to include things in the lines of you are flexible, you are a fast learner, you are a team player, all these kind of things. So you need to come out with that, and probably ask some friend to give advice to read and see this. Okay, does this really represent me and what I want in life? So then we have this second section about the skills. Okay, so the first thing that I saw here is languages. But languages are not relevant here. I mean, if languages are relevant for your CV, then they need to go in a completely separate section, probably at the end. But this is not the place for languages. Okay. Same thing happens for the libraries. I'm going to include the libraries in the later section, and you will see what I mean. So what happens is that in this section, the only thing that is valid is the first line. And that first line is 100% Android focused. And you need to think that skills and technical skills are two different things. I mean, you can include skills that are not necessarily technical, and skills that may be technical but are not necessarily Android. So here you can put like something like Android SDK. Here, you can also say databases. You can also say software development. And you can put things that are not necessarily technical, like critical thinking or problem solving or team play. Okay? So here what you want to do is to highlight some things that you feel are important, and that will be like something around 6 to 9 things. Okay? I saw earlier this week in LinkedIn a CV from a guy, and in his section he had 33 things. As a reader, the feeling is where I have to look here, what's the relevant thing? And he had MySQL, SQL, SQLite. Oh, come on, seriously? Just say databases. Okay? So this was the next section that he had in projects. So the capstone projects, and this the popular movies that if you're not in the Android track, I'm sure that you have seen with your fellow scholars. When I saw this, seriously, this broke my heart. I don't know if it's obvious for you what's wrong here, but this is really okay. So this guy, last year, he completed Android Basics Nano degree. And this year, he has completed Android Nano. Android Basics last year was a bit different. So it was 10 different projects. An Android Nano degree this year was something around 8 projects. So he has done something around 18 different projects. And some of them are the same app in different stages, fair enough. But he has built like 12, 15 different apps, and this is all that he can show. Look, if in your CV you only include 10% of the things that you know and 10% of the things that you can do, it's very unlikely that you're going to get the job. Sorry, I mean, maybe you didn't think about that, but it's true. So now, how do you see the difference between this and this? So this is a extract from my CV, like 2.5 years ago, back in the days when I was looking for my first job as an Android developer. I mean, it's very different, right? So here I have all my relevant projects with a brief description. I have the things that I learned that I have used. The libraries are here. That's why I didn't include them in the previous section. And I have links to all of them to GitHub, and this one here, a link to Google Play. Okay. So now this Build It Bigger, Android Nano degree has 4 different courses. Okay. So Build It Bigger is the project that you build during the Gradle. There's a course which is 100% focused on Gradle. Okay. This Make Your Own Material is there's a whole course in material design. And this here I list all the things that are relevant to that project. Okay. In his project, there was absolutely no mention to Gradle, no mention at all to material design. It's like, you are not including anything, then how are they gonna call you? Okay, so you need to put all these things. Now, something that you probably be surprised is he has here the GitHub profile. And you will be surprised if I tell you I don't like that. And if I tell you, I think, in my honest opinion, you should not include the link to your GitHub profile. And you will wondering why. Why doesn't it make sense? Everyone tells us that we should, and that's true, right? So the reason for that is, okay, I click on his LinkedIn profile. He has done 2 nanodegrees. He has 22 repositories. And what am I supposed to look at? I mean, if you, as the person who's the owner of the CV, expect me as a reader to see something particular, it's not going to happen, because there's like an immensity of things there. It's not going to happen. So this way, what I do is I direct the reader in the right direction. So they have the links for everything. And once they are in GitHub, once they are in a specific repo, if they want to see my profile, they can do like this. It's just one click. But the other way around is literally not going to. And if they don't see what you bring in, well, your chances are much less. Okay? So now try to get the big picture. The reader opens the file and sees this. You have probably heard those things that they say that they spend 6 seconds in your CV, right? Have you heard about that? Yeah? Okay. Now, I can guarantee you that if you have this in the CV, as soon as they open the file, you got their attention. You have much more than 6 seconds. And they're going to read your CV carefully. Now you are playing. You are playing with them. You are not being like ignored. Yeah? And then what they see is they go to the top and they start seeing like a strong paragraph where you explain who you are, what you bring in, like 3-5 lines maximum, with some selected keywords that represents you. Then they see the skills, 6 to 9 skills, really relevant, things that are important, that you really want to highlight. They come here. They have the links, this, what. You know what? I read your CV. I want to call you for an interview, and I have not even finished reading the CV. That's the play that we want to. That's the game that we want to play with the recruiters and with any hiring manager. Okay. So then he had this section on experience. Now, have you ever asked yourself, should I put the experience first or the education first? Which way should I go? Okay, so this is easy, it's simple. If I'm a well-established professional in a given field, okay, they have 2 years experience here, 1 year experience here, this. What I want is to put my experience first. But if you are doing a career change, it's completely the opposite. What you want is your education first. Because when the reader comes to this breaks the flow. You have put the reader into a flow where it's like, wow, this guy is amazing, and he's a sales manager, right? And that shouldn't matter, but you're breaking the flow, and that's the fact. So instead of making that situation, you put the education first, and then you see, I'm doing another degree, and I have this course, and this other course, and this certification, and the flow continues. And when they get to this at the end, it's like, I'm looking for a junior. It's fine. This guy looks amazing. Then I call. That's what you want. Okay. So now, still you will have to do an experience section, even if it's at the end. So let's talk about this. There's one important rule here is you want to focus on achievements, okay, not on things that you've done, like specific tasks. So let me give you an example. This guy was a sales manager, so I say this. Maybe it sounds much better to say, I increased sales in 20% by doing the best thing that you can bring, this kind of things. That's general for whatever is you are in a career change or not. Now, something a bit more specific for a career change. Something that you want to highlight in this section are transferable skills. Okay? So transferable skills are like communication, like self-management, like numeracy, like problem solving, this kind of things. So those are things that you're gonna bring with you. And if I'm hiring a junior, but the junior has experience, and this guy has worked in remote teams, for example, so I know that his communication skills are gonna be good, and that's something that is bad. You want to highlight. Okay. Now, education. Can anyone tell me what's missing here? Well, it's probably not. Well, this is a mock of the because it has removing personal information. So what about the link? Give me the link. Play with the reader. Give the reader the link. They can click. They can see the certificate. Say, hey, we want to come for an interview. That's what you want, right? So this is missing here. So similar that I have here, like all these links. You put the link here in your certificates or your nano degree or courses that we have. Okay.
Do I ask you one thing?
Yeah, of course.
Interrupt it. Like, for example, if I have a degree from my university, let's say, and there is no website link to share, should I share my university website?
I think in that case, that's not like, it's not something that they're going to click, but now that we have so many online courses and certificates, it's something that you can show for free, because if you are giving this a CV on paper, but you are giving digital, so just take advantage of that. Okay. So now the process is trying and iterating. Things are not easy usually, right? So you need to continue on improving your CV, and it's like, my CV looked amazing last month, but this month I have published this app, or I have created this, or I have contributed to this open source project, whatever you do. You are continuously adding things, and as you go in the process of interviewing, maybe you fail in the first interview all the time, but there's going to be a time in which you're going to say, okay, you know what, I'm consistently passing the first interview. Maybe I fail in the second, but this like continue, go on. Not let anyone distract you or take you away from your target. Okay. So I'm going to share with you my method for looking for a job. Okay. So this is super secret internet. So my idea is, what I do is go to 3-4 job boards, do like 2-4 different keyword searches in each of them, and order by date. Okay. Now, what you do with the idea is like you take the first one, you create your profile, and that's time consuming, but it's an investment, and you need to go through that, right? So once you finish, you do your searches, and you apply, let's say, for the things that I were in the last 2 weeks. Okay. And the day after, if you go to search again with the same keywords that you can more or less automatize, you know what's new and what's not new. So when you end up in a situation in which you have the 4 website, you go to the first one, it's a search, nothing new. Oh, this one, apply. Do this one, apply, nothing new to do. Bam, bam, 10, 15 minutes, and you're done. And you're applying to anything that is relevant in the market and is new. That's the idea, right? So you got it. Now, if you apply to 20 things today and you don't apply to anything in 1 month, well, you can be lucky, of course, you can get a job, but you need to do like this rolling thing continuously. So it's not that you have to do every day, but you need to do almost every day. And there's one day that is particularly important, that is Sunday. Sunday, late evening, right before going to sleep, 10, 15 minutes. You do this with your 4 websites, bam, 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 15 minutes. And the recruiter or the hiring manager has your application top of his inbox when he arrives on Monday. Okay. I don't know if you have about this. A friend told me, okay, you need 100 applications to get 1 interview, and then you need 10 interviews to get 1. Obviously, there's no science behind this. It's not true, but it's a fact that many people need to apply. I've seen people in LinkedIn saying, I applied 800 something jobs in the last year, and I didn't get one single. Okay, it's not going to be your case for various reasons. First, you have good skills. Second, you have an amazing portfolio. And third, I think that during this talk, you have learned how to get the most of your portfolio and show it there, and how to play with the recruiters and with everything. So your success rate will be much better than this. But still, I want to transfer the idea that the most suitable outcome when you apply for a job is that you don't get the job, right? And it's something that you need to keep in mind, because if you start thinking that you're going to get the job, of course you're going to get it, then that's going to be bad, okay? And not getting the job is not necessarily bad, it's part of the process. And when you are not successful into something, then, well, you have the option to go there to the corner, cry, it's up to you, or you can say, okay, what can I learn from this, and do my iteration, improve, and keep on going, right? So nothing stops you from doing what you have to do. Now, sometimes it happens that you find your dream job. It's like, if I could work in this company, this is going to be amazing, and you get emotionally tied to it, right? And you pass the interview, and they call you for the second interview, and you pass it, and you go to the third interview, and it's like you're almost touching that, right? And you lose track in your mind that the most possible outcome is that you don't get the job. And then what happens is that you are hurt, right? So you cannot allow those things to hurt you, because that can really destroy you and make you think, I'm not good, I'm never gonna make it, and give up. And that's really bad. So always try to keep a distance and don't get too emotionally tied with a particular process or with a particular company that you are applying. Okay? So a quick recap of the things that I taught. So you need a strong, powerful introduction paragraph, 3 to 5 lines that represents you. Feel free to share with some friends, with family, what they think, and iterate. Okay? Highlights. 6 to 9 highlights of the technical things and some not technical necessarily that you want to put a specific emphasis on. Depending on your field, it can be obviously different. If you're doing web, it's going to be the same like Android, but you get that. Then show yourself, right? It's like this thing. It's like, yeah, that's it. It's like you go at night, you press nicely, you make up, you do, right? So that's the idea. If you don't include in your CV the things that you know, they're not going to magically figure it out. Okay? This obviously in the education experience, my advice is put first education, because if you put the experience first, you break the flow that you have built during the whole process of reading. There will be a time later on when you will do the other way around. When it comes to the experience, focus on achievements, not on particular tasks that you've done. And in particularly, if this is like a career change CV, remember the transferable skills. There are many. This is just some examples. Okay, try to find which things you can bring that are interrelatable with anything. Okay? The tempo. Remember, you can really mark the tempo on which the reader is reading your CV. So don't break the tempo and take advantage of that. It's something that nobody tells you is like, you can really play with this. You think that, how is the reader feel when he reads or she reads my CV? And you can more or less predict and play with it, as I showed. Proofreading, okay. You don't want any kind of typos, spelling errors, grammar, punctuation, there's like margin that is not aligned or anything. And sometimes you have seen this document so many times that you don't see the error. It's in front of your eyes. So get someone to review it and to give feedback on that. And something important is, if you are writing a CV in a language that is not your mother tongue, then get at least one person who is a native speaker to have a look at it. Because as a native speaker of whatever language, you can spoil things, and it's like, this sounds a bit awkward. It may seem nice or good for someone who's not a native speaker, but this, you can tweak things, and that's great. I have really seen a situation where a hiring manager was saying, I'm not going to call this person because there's typos or spelling errors in the CV. Okay, so I have not seen that for a developer. That's fair, but I have seen that from the manager applying and things, and these things happen in the real world. Okay, and have a method. I told you what's mine, which I think it works well. My wife was using this for the last few weeks, and it was working with her. So, for loop. So you need to iterate. You need to keep on rolling. Okay. So I told you, if you get too emotionally tied with something, it can destroy you. You can really lose your confidence. Okay. So anyone here has some knowledge on software development? I don't see too many hands. How is this possible? Okay. So how did you exit a for loop? Break. So you don't want anything to break. you don't break. Because if you break, you exit out the for loop. There's a chance that you never come back. There's a chance that you give up because you think you're not good enough. So you don't break. What you do, you continue. Don't break. Continue. Okay? And now all yours. Questions? Yeah, I saw Ben was the first one to.
Just one question. You said, right, like 10 job applications on one day in the evening and 15 minutes. I was just wondering, okay, I can do that, but wouldn't I make my first page letter from always on the point to the job offer? Like maybe I'm misunderstood.
Yeah, I think you. What I meant is like if you send 10 applications or 20 in one day, and then you just do that and you think you're done, and you don't do anything in 1 month because you think they're gonna call you. That's not gonna work. You can be lucky, okay, but it's better if you do like every day. So the first day that you have your profile finished in one particular report, and you do it for the last 2 weeks, for example, or 3 weeks, you're gonna apply for a bunch of things. But then the rest of the days, you do every day. You're gonna search, and there are gonna be many days in which there's nothing new. There's gonna be new things, but not relevant, right? So then you just skip, and it takes you 1 minute, 2 minutes. I don't know. You do like 3, 4 different searches, like junior Android, Android. I don't know, mixing things to see the different results. And then what you do is like once you have all of them, with 10, 15 minutes, you can go through all of that and see if there's something new that is relevant. Apply to that. Usually the applications in the job boards are very straightforward because you have the profile, you have your CV uploaded, and it's one click button most of the times. Right? It's not like you have to fill crazy forms or anything. You have done all that job like an investment before, so it's yeah, I think so.
But,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
I have some questions. The first one, you put a brief introduction of yourself, for example. It is not this part to be in the cover letter, right?
Well, the thing is, yeah, optionally you can do that on the cover letter. The thing is, I'm not sure if there's many people who read the cover letters nowadays, to be honest. Particularly having the recruiters as a in between, right? Your cover letter is never gonna end up in the client, right? But what is gonna end up in the client is the CV. In the CV you have that line. Also in the cover letter you are doing like more like I would like to work in your company because this is more like focusing that. So it's a bit different than what you will write in a cover.
Well, to be fair, I'm a little bit confused because I'm in the optional part of the non-degree, which Nguyen explained us, for example, we only have some part of the cover letter to be 1 page, and the cover letter should be on, for example, 50% 1 page. The cover letter should be easy to read. It's very complicated.
Yeah, it is.
Because you have to fill all the points and put it up. So as he said, no, so you are talking that we could apply in 1 day, for example, 2 to 10 offers or something like that. But you have to work studying that enterprise and having doing
letters. Many times you don't even know what the company is because you are applying in a job board as a recruiter, so you don't know even the name of the company. And the recruiter is not going to care about the cover letter if you are. I mean, in the last years I have not written any cover letter. I have applied cover letter. They give you like attach cover letter and say apply anything, and nothing. That's perfectly fine. See, I mean, maybe if you are in another field, that's okay. But I mean, recruiters are chasing us all the time. Once you have some experiences that you have talks every day, and when you put sometimes happens that when you put your CV online, you activate your profile. They see that and they're calling me and I have not applied to any job yet. That happens. Obviously, if you are looking for a junior position, but maybe not going to be like that. Or maybe they call you and they realize that you are a junior and they say, okay, maybe it's not good for you. But I understand that I'm probably saying some things that are different to what you see in Udacity. I think that in Udacity you see something that are more related to the US markets, like a resume. It is not so much of a CV. The idea of building the CV in one page is okay, but if it takes longer, I mean, seriously, no one is going to care. No one is going to say, I mean, if you have a powerful CV, my CV when I applied to Udacity, I don't know, it was like 3 pages, I believe. And it's like, it's a US company, right? And it's like, I don't care. I mean, because I want to show you what I have. Like this, I show you the picture. Right? So do that.
Okay.
I mean, don't be afraid. You can play.
Well, so I'm not confused right now.
Yeah.
It's okay. My next question was about your project. Very, very good. By the way, well, you show us that, for example, of, that what Newgen show us that we have to do. For example, we have to put achievements and what the project do. For example, you put, for example, your projects.
Mhm.
So it's not fit in one page, right?
It was in one page.
It was in one page. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, it was. It
Fine,
was.
fine.
Yeah, sometimes you can play with the margins. So maybe it's like you make the margin just a tiny bit that is not even noticeable. No one is going to print. So I'm going to see on the screen. You make a bit here, and then you get the space to level up everything. So you can play with things. That if you write in 2 columns, you take much better advantage of the space.
Yeah.
So this same thing in 1 column with all the projects, it would have taken much more space. But putting in 2 columns, you don't have so many blank at the end of the line, and then you. But still, if you put 2 pages, that's 2 pages. Not the end of the world. Yeah.
I have one question. If, for example, I am doing my master's here in Germany, so if I am applying to a particular position like Android developer job, so should I put the projects and what are courses I did it in my master studies as well in the CV?
I mean, your master will in the studies session.
Yeah, because it has subjects related to Python and all other topics.
Yeah, but the thing is, so if you have in your education, you have a master degree and then you have a nano degree and whatever, and you could separate it because they are 2 different things, right? So if you want to show, on top of that, I have this as well, right?
Even if it's not related, no issues.
There shouldn't be an issue. I mean, obviously, if you are changing careers, there shouldn't be an issue. I mean, I started chemistry,
Because
right? So
because I had an issue like that. I got an interview. I had an interview, but in that they asked me about my what all I worked previously. I worked as a consultant. Then I came for masters. Then he asked me why did you change your career and why are you doing switching the subjects like you are studying something, you are applying for a consultant job, so you are not focused, and they rejected.
Well, it's a sensible question, but it doesn't mean that you are not focused. Obviously, you need to prove that you are. And I think it's like, say, okay, I'm doing the nano degree, so I have done this so many hours of work at home. I have this project, this other project, this other project. You know, I mean, I go to this conference, I have this prize in a hackathon and Android and this other thing. I have this project I have done on my side just to learn. I built a Twitter client, which was not part of the nano degree, right? So you're gonna say I'm not focused? You're not gonna say, because you cannot say that.
Because he told if you are having multiple options, then we can't be sure that you would be fixed in our company.
You need to write your CV in a way that it shows that.
No, that happened in the interview, in the technical interview. I mean, the main interview, face to face.
It happens, and maybe not so often, but it's a fact that it happens that you go to an interview and the guy has not read your CV. So that's perfectly possible.
Yeah.
And maybe the guy has read your CV, but has read in 2 minutes just right before going into the room. Because I have seen that.
Yeah, he read my CV, but I had not put the topics which I had done here. I had put all of my old experience related topics.
Yeah. If you in the interview you explain properly, that should be fine. I mean, it's a reasonable question. Not everyone is going to ask that, but it's something that can happen. So, yeah. On the back, sorry, again.
Question regarding salary expectations. So, depending on the country and companies, sometimes
Yes, sorry, can you speak up a bit?
we got like
Did
question
you
regarding salary.
salary expectations?
So, some countries and companies ask for salary expectations.
Yeah.
Like there are websites that have ranges. But the ranges are quite large.
Yeah.
And I'm asking myself, like, is it okay to go? Is there a limit? Should I give like the highest
Yeah.
expectation of the
Okay.
range?
That's
I find
a tricky question. I mean, I'm gonna just give you my opinion. I usually was playing with a 500, so 5,000 pounds range, which I thought was reasonable. So something I more or less think that I know how much the junior developers in this Android, in my case, which your case is different, we will have to research obviously, but I know how much they're paid in this country, in this city, right? So I more or less go in that range. And then, something that I used to say, and I found that they liked quite a lot, is so I'm happy to go into this range as far as you agree that in 6 months' time we're going to have a salary review. And this also shows that you can do right? And that goes. So obviously, if you find a range of 10,000, maybe it's ridiculous. So maybe you can adjust a bit here and there. You would have to. We can talk about the specifics if you want.
I was more general.
Yeah.
Range something is 10,000. So
Yeah,
it depends on the company.
Yeah, it depends on the company and everything. But I used to have like a 5,000 range, and then say I'm open to work in this range as fast as because what I want is the job, right? I myself, I was not able to find a job. I was interviewing and it was like crazy. It didn't make any sense. And I ended up doing an unpaid internship, part-time, remote. And once I did the internship, I got like a lot of offers to work. So something that you can consider as well. Yes, you can ask for more money as well because now you have experience. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. On many the works as a developer, you do everything every day is the same task. Well, in most cases, yes, working as a web developer, the task every day is the same. That's why you can earn much experience when you work in the same company for 2 years or 3 years, and that's why some HR departments or career advisors recommend to change your job every 3 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, you have a lot of different countries in your companies in your CV. So you must say, I have experience in 10, for let's suppose, in 10 companies. But as HR department, if you look at my resume, and he see a lot of different companies. Is it broke the flow because I haven't single companies for the long period. Of course, in this case, I have a lot of experience, but I haven't been in one particular company for a long period. What's the better? More companies with different experience,
Well, I think
or just one?
I think it's a bit of a balance. I mean, if you change company from time to time, that's not necessarily bad. Because maybe it's like, okay, you want to learn more things and you cannot learn, and they're gonna ask you and you explain. That's okay. Now, if you change company every 6 months, if you do once or twice, that's probably fine. But if you like continuously do this, there's gonna be a moment in which it's gonna be like, for this guy, because we're gonna hire him and how long is he gonna stay here, right?
Because they
so-
can't rely on you.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, that's it. So as far as you don't abuse, that should be fine. So sometimes if you are in a company for a long time, it's like you know everything about the project. Doesn't mean that you are paid more because companies don't raise salaries so much unless you change. But it's like, what do you know outside this particular project on this particular technology. So probably maybe you don't know so much, right? So sometimes maybe you want to work in a company that is a startup, for example, then you can have exposure to more things, to newer things. Maybe in an agency, for example, that you are doing different projects every day. So it's like now you have a project for a client, and it's like 2 weeks, 1 month. Then you have another project for one other client, and it's like a different technology, this. So you get exposure to more things, right? So in each company you can get something different, and it's on you on the side where you're going and what you're missing and all that. So I wouldn't say that say, okay, my CV, I have 5 years in this company. Is that gonna be beneficial? I don't think so. I change from time to time. It's gonna be bad. Okay, if it's not crazy, I know people who have had to remove some experiences from their CVs and make a lie and say that they were longer in a job. So it doesn't look like they have changed so often. But you have to have the criteria for knowing how it makes sense. I don't know how we are on time. Probably right. So I'm gonna.
We have one question.
one question.
Oh, one. Yeah, of course.
Selkia is asking whether you think it's possible to start an Android career when you're 44 years old, and whether age matters.
Well, I think it's perfectly possible. Obviously, you are older, it's more difficult. So I started when I was something around 33, 34, 34 probably. And I was trying to get a job, and it was difficult. So I didn't get my first job until I was 35 or something. So I was not like super young. I was younger than her, of course, but I think you can do it. The thing is, you need to understand that there are going to be many people that are not going to be negative. Are going to say your CV, don't care, put it on the bin. But if you are persistent, as I said, you keep on improving your CV. It's going to take you maybe longer. That's fair. Maybe sometimes it's the luck that you have on the people that you meet. It's like you go for an interview and maybe the guy or the company they are people. You don't want to work, right? Like we have this guy Antonio Bastia, which you probably know him from Slack, and he had the interview with one guy, and it was the first question is so what did you say you study which university? He said, no, I didn't study university. Okay, so this conversation is over. You find people like this, it's not the kind of people that you want to work with. So a good option is to try to get an internship, which is unpaid, and you do for a few months, you get some experience. Once you have some experience, you fly. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to be...
Thank you very much. It was amazing. But still, we're gonna have time also during the break.
Yeah.
If you feel like answering, and also thank you guys from the internet for the questions.
Yes.